My speech contains topics of eating disorders and body dysmorphia and is about 8 to 9 minutes long. So if any of those topics make you uncomfortable, please feel free to step out. Thank you. Can't remember the day it all started. 7-day water fast, lose 5 pounds in 10 days. You should eat a clean keto diet, but also eat high protein. No, but also eat a high carb carnivore diet. You should be skinny, but not skinny fat. You should have muscles, but not too bulky or too lean. Have abs, no, but don't have abs. You know what? Just don't eat at all. I want it all to stop. I want everything to stop. At 10 years old, 100 pounds and 48 kilos, I was already afraid of cameras because instead of smile or say cheese, I heard the words suck in before each and every shutter. I knew how to edit my photos and the poses that made me look skinny. And instead of the numbers on my times tables, I memorized the numbers on the BMI chart, living my childhood chained to glass scale and numbers instead of playing Foursquare and tag. After years of starving, I was hungry to eat, yes, but I was hungry for love too. I craved being called pretty by my family, and I craved the love that I couldn't give myself from others. In the other room, I could hear my parents whispering about solutions to my problems, not knowing that I could hear every single word. Any doctor, any diet, any exercise, anything that could have made me more normal. At 14 years old, I was 130 pounds and 58 kilos, a difference of 35 from the previous year where I had been 165 pounds. A miracle, said my mother-in-law. The doctor who diagnosed you is a miracle worker. You've lost so much weight and you're so beautiful now, they said. But I didn't feel beautiful. I felt a rush from every compliment, and I felt the joy of waking up without tears as I stepped on the scale, yes, but I didn't feel beautiful. Finally, I thought all of my hard work must have meant something. But this rush came at a cost, the cost of having an ego that gave me false hope and false confidence. Hope that I would finally feel the same love and attention felt by everyone else. And partly I did. I felt the attention, the eyes of my friends and family who stood shocked at my dedication and my beauty. But it was funny because in my 14 years of living, I had never been described by my beauty. Still, this beauty didn't magically allow me to love myself. How could I? I had never experienced enough love to know how to give it. Until then, the idea of self-love had been an abstract concept found on self-help books and motivational posters. Still, the love I felt was not for myself, but rather, I loved the attention and I loved the compliments, and that was it. But of course, people were only interested for so long, and after the high wore off, I was alone again. Ironically, my first high school crush was a photographer. Though I knew the consequences, my hunger for love and attention got the best of me. I was driven by my desire for the rush, and I was insatiable. To everyone else, he was nothing special, but to me, he was everything. The first guy to notice anything past my body. The first guy to notice me for me. Every sliver of attention, every text gave me a taste of the bliss I'd gotten before. The feeling of forged self-love, and the feeling of an ego that kept me from hating myself entirely. And so I counted my calories, and I counted the days that it would take for him to notice that I wasn't 165 anymore. I was 130. And I waited for the compliments I so desperately longed for the joy from before, but still, I was afraid of cameras, and I had to let him go. For the next 2 years, I sat at the bottom of the mountain that I was once at the peak of. I was always surrounded by people, and yet I had never felt more alone. The next 2 years, I spent my time abandoning everything I had known about the concept of love, numbing myself to it entirely. Everyone had always told me that love was defined by 3 words, but I had always thought that those words were "you are skinny," not "I love you." How was I supposed to know when for 14 years the words "you are skinny" sent me soaring above clouds, and the words "I love you" were just formalities one said before word? My whole life, love had been attached to words, numbers, and letters. But it took falling from my highest point to realize that love was supposed to be an unconditional feeling. Unconditional. Love was supposed to be unconditional, and yet mine came with conditions. Every day after that, I woke up with blurry vision and a headache. I had new friends, I had smaller clothes, I had stretch marks, and I was exhausted. 16 years, I had been big and small, and yet I still craved to be loved. I craved the conditional love I so desperately longed for. It's just a little bit of body dysmorphia, they said. It's not that serious. But these were the same people who at 10 years old were 70 pounds and 31 kilos. They were never 100 pounds and 48 kilos. They don't measure their wrists or routinely use scales. And most of all, they aren't starving for love the way that I am. I knew that my body had affected the person I had become. I was very aware. But I never thought that the shape of my body could shape who I am, shape the way I love, and who I love. But my reflection is so much more than just a ray of light. My reflection defines who I am, how I have grown, how I have loved, and how I've been loved. I always thought that maybe it's generational, the way that our bodies shape who we become. I used to stand in awe because of how beautiful my mother was, but I remember hearing her criticize herself, knowing that I would have killed to look an ounce like her. And now as I criticize my own body, she tells me how much she wished she resembled me. Inch by inch and day by day, I watched as she became my spitting image, staring at her reflection the way that I used to. But it's more so a disease, a contagious and deadly disease. It's a disease that targets little girls, teenagers, and adult women, and it's a pain that you can spread to those around you with your words and your actions. It's a pain that tightens your clothes and worsens as you grow. And it's a pain that you feel when the camera clicks and you wake up with blurry vision and a headache. But it's also a pain that goes away with loving confrontment and when you smile at the camera, and I know it will be a pain that I won't feel at 17 years old and however many pounds and kilos. Thank you.